Have you ever felt like your heart was breaking so completely that you wondered if God could even hear you anymore? That moment when the pain becomes so heavy that even whispering a prayer feels impossible, when your tears fall faster than words can form, when you question if anyone truly understands the depth of what you're carrying. Right now, as you listen to these words, I want you to know that you're not alone in that sacred space of suffering, and there's something beautiful waiting for you in the silence of your pain. Through the profound portrayal of Jesus by Jonathan Roumie, we've witnessed something extraordinary about prayer during our darkest moments, something that can transform how we approach God when we feel most broken and forgotten. If you've been searching for a place where your pain is understood, where your prayers matter even when they feel inadequate, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. This is your sanctuary, a community of hearts learning to find God in the midst of overwhelming circumstances. When you subscribe and turn on notifications, you're joining thousands of others who understand that faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about finding courage to whisper God's name, even when everything hurts. Every video here is crafted with love for souls who need reminding that their struggles are seen, their prayers are heard, and their healing journey matters deeply to the heart of God. I know what it feels like when the pain crashes over you like waves that never seem to stop coming. Maybe it started with a phone call that changed everything. Perhaps it was a diagnosis that stole your breath away. Or maybe it's been building for months. This heaviness that sits in your chest, making even simple prayers feel like climbing mountains. You've probably found yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m, wondering how to even begin talking to God about something that hurts so much that words feel completely inadequate. This is exactly where Jonathan Roumie's portrayal of Jesus becomes not just inspiring, but deeply personal and healing. When we watch him embody the compassion of Christ, we see something remarkable about how Jesus meets us in our most vulnerable moments, not with judgment or easy answers, but with a presence that says your pain is valid, your struggle is seen, and your heart is held with infinite tenderness. What strikes me most about Roumie's interpretation is how he shows us a Jesus who doesn't minimize suffering or rush to fix everything, but instead sits with us in the messy middle of our pain. When your world feels like it's falling apart and traditional prayers feel empty or mechanical, there's something profoundly healing about approaching God the way Jesus would approach you, with complete honesty about where you are and what you're carrying. The prayer I want to share with you today isn't about using perfect words or following a specific formula. It's about creating space for your heart to be completely honest with God, even when that honesty includes anger, confusion, disappointment, and questions that feel too big for simple answers. Can you pause right here for just a moment and think about the last time you felt truly seen in your pain? I mean really seen, not just acknowledged or sympathized with, but seen in a way that made you feel less alone in carrying something heavy. If that feeling is rare or distant for you, I want you to know that's exactly how God sees you right now, and your willingness to share that with others in the comments could be the very thing someone else needs to hear today. Simply type these words: "My heart needs this peace." Your comment isn't just about you, it's a beacon of hope for someone scrolling through who feels exactly like you do right now. Someone who needs to know they're not the only one whose heart feels heavy today. Let me tell you about Sarah, a woman who wrote to me last month describing how she lost her job, her father, and her sense of direction all within 6 weeks. She said that watching Jonathan Roumie's portrayal of Jesus helped her understand that prayer during overwhelming times isn't about being strong or having faith figured out. It's about being brave enough to show up exactly as you are, broken pieces and all. Sarah discovered that her most powerful prayers weren't the eloquent ones she tried to construct, but the raw, honest moments when she simply said, "God, I can't do this anymore," and somehow found peace in admitting her limitations rather than trying to overcome them through willpower alone. This is the kind of prayer that changes everything, not because it fixes circumstances immediately, but because it connects us to the heart of a God who specializes in meeting us exactly where we are, especially when where we are feels impossible to bear. When Jonathan Roumie embodies the love of Christ on screen, he shows us something crucial about how Jesus responds to overwhelming pain. There's never a sense that suffering is something to be ashamed of or quickly moved past. Instead, There's this beautiful invitation to bring everything to God, the messy emotions, the unanswered questions, the fears about the future, the grief that feels too big for your body to contain. This kind of prayer starts with permission. Permission to feel everything you're feeling without judgment. Permission to question without losing your faith. Permission to be exactly where you are in your healing journey without pressure to be somewhere else. Right now, I want to give you that permission. And more importantly, I want to remind you that God has already given you that permission. Written in the tears of Jesus himself, demonstrated in his willingness to experience the fullness of human pain so that you never have to carry yours alone. The prayer we're about to share together is designed for moments when traditional approaches feel inadequate, when your heart is so full of hurt that you can't find your usual words, when you need something that acknowledges the reality of your pain while simultaneously connecting you to hope. This isn't about positive thinking or trying to pray your way out of difficult circumstances. This is about finding God in the middle of those circumstances and discovering that his presence changes how you carry what you're carrying, even when the external situation remains challenging. I've seen this kind of prayer transform people who thought they were too broken for God to want them, too angry for prayer to work, too tired to believe that anything could change. The beautiful truth is that God doesn't need you to be strong or have it all together. He needs you to be honest and willing, and that willingness can be as small as deciding to listen to this prayer and let it speak for your heart when your heart doesn't know what to say. As we begin, I want you to find a comfortable position, somewhere you can close your eyes if you choose to, somewhere you feel safe to let your guard down and allow your heart to be open to receiving what God wants to give you in this moment. Remember that Jonathan Roumie's Jesus shows us a Savior who sees beyond our external circumstances to the deeper needs of our hearts, who responds to our pain not with platitudes, but with presence, not with simple solutions, but with sustaining love that carries us through whatever we're facing. This prayer is your invitation to experience that kind of love right now, exactly as you are, with whatever you're carrying, trusting that God's heart toward you is infinitely more tender than you've ever imagined. Dear God, here I am, and honestly, I don't even know where to begin because the pain feels so overwhelming that words seem completely inadequate. I'm bringing you my heart exactly as it is right now, heavy and hurting and filled with questions I don't know how to ask. I'm grateful for the way Jonathan Roumie shows us your heart, Jesus, because through his portrayal I'm reminded that you understand what it means to hurt, what it means to feel overwhelmed, what it means to carry something that feels too big for human strength alone. Right now I'm choosing to trust that you see me, that you're with me, that my pain matters to you not because you're going to wave a magic wand and make everything perfect, but because your love is big enough to hold me while I walk through this difficult season. I confess that sometimes I've tried to pray the right way, to say the right words, to have the right amount of faith, but right now I just need you to meet me where I am, even if where I am doesn't look like victory or strength or unwavering trust. Meet me in my questions. Meet me in my tears. Meet me in the 3 a.m. moments when I can't sleep because my heart feels too heavy. I'm asking you to help me find peace not by changing my circumstances, but by changing how I experience your presence in my circumstances. Help me to feel less alone. Help me to sense your love even when everything else feels uncertain. Help me to trust that you're working even when I can't see evidence of that work in my daily life. God, I pray for everyone listening to this prayer who knows exactly what this pain feels like, who has felt forgotten or overwhelmed, or like their struggles are too much for anyone to understand. Surround each person with the same love that Jonathan Roumie reflects when he portrays your heart, Jesus. Let them know that their pain is not a punishment, their struggles are not evidence of your absence, and their questions are not a threat to their faith. Instead, let their willingness to bring these hard things to you become a pathway to experiencing your love in ways they never thought possible. Help all of us to remember that prayer isn't about performing or proving ourselves worthy. It's about connecting with a God who already knows every detail of what we're carrying and loves us completely in spite of and because of our humanity. As we finish this time together, I want to leave you with something Jonathan Roumie's portrayal teaches us so beautifully about God's heart toward us. You are not too broken, too angry, too confused, or too overwhelmed for God's love to reach you and sustain you. Your pain doesn't disqualify you from God's presence, it qualifies you for His tenderness. Your questions don't threaten your faith. They deepen your relationship with a God who is big enough to handle every doubt and strong enough to carry you through every dark season. If this prayer has spoken to your heart today, would you take a moment to like this video and share it with someone else who might need to hear these words? And remember, every time you subscribe to this channel, you're joining a community of people committed to finding God in the midst of real life. People who understand that faith is not about having everything figured out, but about trusting that God's love is bigger than whatever we're facing. Your story matters, your pain has purpose, and your willingness to keep seeking God, even when it's hard, is evidence of a faith that's not weak, but incredibly strong. Until we meet again, may you find peace in knowing that you are seen, you are loved, and you are never alone in carrying whatever life has placed in your hands.